Okay guys, this is my 2004 Chevy Silverado 4.3. It's just your base model, nothing fancy. It's got the roll-up windows, vinyl floors. So the issue I'm having is I was having a stumble and hesitation on this 4.3. What had happened was I could start the truck up and it'd be operating normal and you know, no misfire, no hesitation, no, you know, everything seemed fine. But once the truck reached normal operating temperature, it started to misfire and bog, and you know, but once you floored it, that would go away. So started throwing money at this thing. Long story short, bought a new idle air control valve, new TPS sensor, new ignition coil, new ignition control module, new spider injector. Bought all these fucking parts thinking this shit would fix it, and to no avail, nothing fucking fixed it. So I ended up buying the fuel injector, the spider injector assembly, I'm sorry. There's a plenum that sits on top of this. Here, let me see if I can show you guys real quick. So this actually covers the injectors right here, and that connection at the top of the injectors slides in here with a gasket, a little rubber gasket that keeps everything sealed. Well, when installing that little fucker, I didn't realize I had a panhead nut. One of these nuts right here. Let me show you. One of these fuckers. I was leaning my forearm on this, and I had a pan nut get stuck to my forearm, and it fell into the intake. Well, my dumbass didn't notice it and put the plenum back on, put everything back together, and started the truck. The truck ran fine, it idled fine, everything seemed normal, but again, of course, because the truck was cold, so I thought I'd fix the problem. So when I revved the engine, of course, that force from the suction sucked in the nut. So we all know what happens when you fucking drop a nut down into the intake and start your motor like a genius, like I did. So of course I had to start tearing the truck down, turned a simple problem into a big ass fucking problem. So I tore this side down. The nut wasn't inside that head. Tore this side down, and coincidentally the nut fell into cylinder number 3, and upon pulling off the head, I realized that all the parts that I was throwing at the truck had nothing to do with the problem. I had a blown head gasket the entire fucking time. The frustrating part is after working on it for 2 days, taking everything off, putting new gaskets on, having the heads milled, you know, I mean, even though the heads weren't warped and nothing overheated. Oh, I did forget to mention, I didn't have no water in the oil and no oil in my water, vice versa. And the reason being is the gasket that was blown basically put a hole at this top entry part where the water comes in at, and every time cylinder 3, the piston, pushed back up, it would basically push the water back into this gasket, into this hole, not allowing oil or anything to mix up. So long story short, I'm over here rambling. Long story short, put everything back together, put the spider injector in, had the battery disconnected for the fucking entire 3 days. After I connected the battery, I get no signal to my fuel injectors. It's like the anti-theft system is cutting off power to my injectors. I mean, I can sit here and crank this thing all day, all night, and I don't get one drop, not even one signal of it spraying. I mean, I disconnected this so I can check it with my voltmeter. I got 12 volts from a ground on the battery, and the positive, I believe, was on this side. So I haven't gotten Noid light yet and tested it, but I mean, if I'm not shooting anything out of these fucking injectors, then it's for sure not getting any goddamn power. So thought it was the DEF system. Let me show you guys. Thought it was the DEF system here. Shit, what did I do with my key? Anyways, thought it was a DEF system. So looked up a couple videos and I seen that this could probably be the culprit. So what I did is I did a pass 3 key bypass, and that ended up setting the light up here that goes off when you turn the key. It ended up flashing, and before it wasn't flashing. So what I did is I just connected all that back up together the way it was normally. So now the truck basically does the same thing. It doesn't want to give signal to the injectors. The only difference this time is after putting the key back to the way it was, the wiring, when I turn the ignition to on, I'll get a lock symbol here, but then it will go away. And then when I turn the key to crank it over, the lock symbol will pop back up and then it will go away. But since I've had this truck, that lock symbol never, not once has popped up. So if anybody has any ideas on how to fix this, or you know what route to go, please, any help would be appreciated. I've been going at this for the past 4 days, trying to figure out why the injectors won't fire up. I mean, remember when I put everything back together after I dropped the nut in there, the truck did fire up, so I know the injectors work. It's just when the battery got disconnected, it's all of a sudden not letting computer send signal to these. When the entire time I had this truck, I never had this fucking problem. So anybody, please help me out. Thanks.